Incoming ads already, goodness. Hello. Question is, thanks. If we cut this one off the wheel, because it feels a little bit like we didn't. I missed like a strand in my ponytail and it's annoying. There we go. All right, let's get to getting. I didn't bring my scraper over. I was like, I've got all the tools I need, and then didn't. Shocking. Nope. All right. Or my dumb self cut this when I cut it off the wheel. Really cut in here, so it's pretty thin there. So I really just need to take this. Are we really in an ad break? Take that shelf off. These should be good enough to do on the GIF and grip, actually. Doesn't want to go down there because there's a lump of clay down there. Let's come around the guide a little bit farther. Apologies. There we go. Can come in just a scotch more. We're scooching in the chalk a little bit. There we go. One of these days I should really sharpen these. You know, out of all of those the stream playlists that I've found on Spotify, like all but I think one are haven't got me areas with muted audio. Like, well, which makes me think I should probably, if I really wanted a good playlist, I should put one together myself, but that involves a lot of time and effort. Or I stick with somebody like Harris Heller, who specifically like is an artist who specifically puts out DMCA free copyright, no copyright music. But I find that a lot of his stuff sounds very samey. Which, when listening for 4 hours at a time, is less than ideal. Yeah. Hey, Bookie. Thanks for the resub. How you doing? It's going pretty well. Oh. Just got home from work. That's a good time of day. Come on, sponge. This sponge, because it's so fine-celled, like, to rehydrate it takes a little bit of time. It's just a really, really fine texture, if it'll focus on it. And so when it dries out really hard. But to rehydrate it, it takes it a second for the water to actually get all the way through it. You know the other thing that I didn't bring over? My pen. There it is. Thank you. Yeah, we've made a couple improvements and growing a little bit here and there. I can't tell. I think that's just like a truck. Just rumbly sounds. Oh, 350. I must have hit it. Yeah, I must have hit it. Blem gave me a shout out. Oh no, it was Scald and Zorahoff. Scald I see in, I think, a couple of the other streams. Must have been from Be At Easel's stream. I got a follow from somebody named All Band Kind, which is funny. But yeah, we're getting there. Come on. There we go. Yeah. I don't know where they... I think they were likely in Be At Easel's stream, just because the time works out there. From my raid that I gave her. Yeah, things are going well. We do have some emotes, thanks to Mr. Salt. Yeah. All of the tools that I forgot. Where's the one that I want though? Here it is. Okay. Just got trimmings all over the floor. And myself. Let's smooth out. There's a couple of lines down here that I would hoping to get rid of. Ugh, get out of there. Good enough. Let go. Only downside with pretty lipstick is it gets on my teeth. Oh, this is that one. Come here. Yeah. So there's a little, thank you. There's a little pocket right here you can see that was from some tear out in the clay. So I'm going to use a tiny bit of slip from what was in my throwing bucket and just kind of ribbit into place. Ribbit. and that'll dry and hopefully seal up that hole so that there's no weird glaze imperfection that happens there. I didn't uncover these well enough to actually be able to get to them. There we go. It was drizzling a little bit earlier. It's like unseasonably cool the past couple of days, which has been kind of nice. And particularly today, the sun isn't out. We're supposed to get rain like all night tonight, but because of that, it's cloudy today for the first day, like actually cloudy for the first day in weeks. And the weather recently has been like the last week has been reasonable at 85 degrees as the high, which is what? I really wish I had a Celsius to Fahrenheit widget. I guess I could ask Google. But come on, excuse me. There we go. So the high the past week or so has been 29 degrees. But the week before that, we were highs in the mid 90s, which are not 80, like closer to 37, 40. So like highs in, no, not 30, 90, 32. Sorry. My finger did not work there. So like 32 to 34 probably degrees. Right. Recently it's been highs of like 29 degrees, which is kind of like, oh, that feels nice. Today we are currently sitting at 75 degrees, which is like lovely. Like took the dogs on a walk and wasn't like sweaty when I got back. Yeah, basically once it goes over 30, I agree. Ooh, air conditioning. I've always grown up with air conditioning in every place that I've ever lived. And the idea of doing without it sounds legitimately awful. I just get cranky when I get too hot. But I know that air conditioning isn't super common in like the vast majority of Europe. Just because it's typically not that hot there. I missed. Yeah, and especially if it's humid or anything and you're just blowing around hot air. I mean, it helps, like the moving air definitely helps, but no thanks. Do not want. I'm just gonna level a little bit here. Just to make sure I'm keeping things nice and level like it should be. Upper back. Okay. Try and do some stretches the opposite direction to like help prevent this. Hey, Badly. I am doing well. It's not oppressively hot. My pots are where they're supposed to be and drying wise.
Fresh pots!
God, that's hot. Why? The question is, why does the audio for that play through my computer and not my headphones when my headphones are connected to the sound of my computer? A conundrum. Maybe I'll have to look in Firebot and see if there's like if it has its own sound settings. Yeah, it's kind of a good leather hard right now for me, where I prefer to trim. The animal pot blank that I trimmed is a little bit on the wetter side, but I took it out to leave it uncovered. That happens just because with bigger pieces they tend to take longer. But I'll leave it uncovered while I trim everything else, and hopefully it'll dry out enough by the time I get to it at the end. It's a little bit harder to gauge in the summer because I don't have, hot air blowing in here as frequently, and the humidity is a bit higher because of that. Things can dry a little bit slower. But you would think, oh, it's the summer, things will dry faster because it's hot, but they tend to dry a little bit slower. I don't know. It depends on how fast you want things to dry. If you want things to dry out more rapidly, obviously lower humidity, but high humidity isn't uncommon for people to use it to slow down drying. So like it's more common that people want, some people will do something and like make, use a small tented greenhouse type thing and use that as a, not a drying box, but kind of an equalizing box. So like if you added a handle or something, you'd stick it in there so that it does dry down a little bit because of the high humidity, it kind of saturates evenly, if that makes sense. So it might dry out, but it's drying out in a wet environment. But I don't know if there's necessarily an ideal humidity. Some amount of humidity is nice because of that, like it equalizes some of the attachment type stuff. You don't have to worry quite so much about attachments cracking or small areas drying out too fast. But obviously if it's too humid, then nothing ever dries, and that's annoying. But yeah, I don't know if there's necessarily an ideal. It's most of the time it's just influenced by whatever environment you're in, right? You can influence that a little bit with a dehumidifier or weird. It does say my bitrate updating is offline, but Streamlabs is still working, and I'm still getting chat. And it still says the session is running, so who knows? Who knows? Can't see your own messages. I can see your messages. Hello. Maybe it's just mobile. Oh, well, I've got nothing then. Who knows? But welcome in, Itzy. Though I imagine it's your boy Skinny PP, which is hilarious. But I kind of like Itzy. I mean, that's fault. That's like a fair call. Skinny is fine. Cool. Well, if you prefer skinny, I'm fine with that. How'd you come across me, Skinny? How'd you find me? He's probably on his phone. Because he's at work. Alright, we gotta level out that foot. There we go. We had some weird stuff going on. Hard at work or hardly working, yeah. There's a big piece of grog there that just ripped some of that foot off. There we go. Oh, goodness. Oh. Oh. That sucks, Skinny. Nope, we pulled it out already. Alright, well, whatever. I realized that I follow at least 2 guys that have like hair much longer than me on here, which is funny. It would be really funny badly if your hair was that long. Just to make a nice 3-fer. My length? That's impressive. Probably. The other 2 guys that I follow with long, luxurious locks are Kid Cosma and Doomfruit. One's a variety streamer, and then the other is a pen and ink artist. Can't grow a good beard, but got great hair. Hey. Take what you can get. Yeah. I prefer clean shaven if I'm honest, but also understand that like not my it's your hair to have. My biggest problem is with a large beard, like I don't know, like it gets prickly. Sharp, pointy teeth. There's that too. And like people are like, well, you can condition your beard. And I'm like, you can, but it's still like thick hair. It still feels like hair. It's a prepubescent little boy. Aw, cute little Tony. Yeah. It's like a blue purple. But yeah. For fun today. Thanks for the follow, Skinny. How you doing, TJ? How's work? I don't, actually. Unfortunately, I have a collection of fun lipstick colors because I like to put on fun lipstick colors, but I don't usually wear it out because when we go out, we're usually eating, and any like really bold lipstick color is a pain in the butt when you have to eat because you're gonna have to reapply it like immediately. So I don't get to wear them as much as I'd like, and then they sit there and don't get used, and that makes me sad. Trying to stay motivated. That is the way. Thanks for the follow, Nate. We're good. Welcome on in. No, we're good. It's raining. To be fair, I've had more practice than you, TJ. Yeah. Hey, Mean. Did I wake you up? Yep. All right, we got a little bit to take off here. Just a little bit. And then a nice solid foot. Got a little shaping to do in there. Just start spreading all of your stuff all over. Be like, oh no, Jim's at lunch. Just walk through. Crop dust the whole area. It looks like a little snake. I'm just now seeing your Discord messages. Of course, my dad is messaging me right now. Take off your shoes. Maybe clip your nails while you're at it. Sorry. Yeah. And I'm gonna out Mr. Salt here. He blows his nose very loud. Very loud. Startlingly loud. I know. It's not my fault. He scares me repeatedly. Yeah, like your whole brain. Yeah, exactly. Mind you, for those that don't know, we're 4 hours away from the coastline. Like, it's the kind of thing where I'll be over at the sink and he'll be in the shower and do it, and like I've, you know, jump scares. Yeah, just me. He is a bit of a troll. Oh, Rhino! Welcome on in, everybody. Welcome in, Rhino Lion. I think it's kind of, TJ, I think it's kind of the way it is on Twitch. Welcome in, Raiders. Hey, Kay. Thanks for giving Rhino a shout out. For those of you that don't know, Rhino is another lovely potter on Twitch. Feel free to give him a follow. He's got an awesome stream. His setup is delightful. You can trigger bubbles. Hey, Phil. What's up? Oh, I think we're in ad breaks. Apologies for anybody that just came in. Rhino, I don't know if you're in an ad, but if you are, I don't know if I have 4. Of course, my father is asking me for things and he expects answers right away. My father also has ADHD. It does not help. Should be back now. Welcome back, everybody. If you were in ad breaks, happy to have you back. Rhino, I put it in chat, and I'm imagining you might be cleaning up, but what were you up to today? If you need to run and do stuff, short little stream. I knew you had been absent for a little while, and I wondered if it wasn't related to your back. Oh, I'm sorry. That sucks. Oh, my father. Oh, yeah. So at least, are you doing the rehydrate in the bag trick, or how are you getting it back? You just slaking it all back down and going from there. Round bottle and a cup. Very nice. I guess I should introduce myself. To those of you that came over with Rhino, I'm Miranda. I'm a hobby potter. Don't have to slake it, yeah. Thanks. I'm a hobby potter here on Twitch, and I make functional and sculptural stuff. You can find my stuff on my socials if you want to see what I do. Thank you, Mr. Salt. There's clay on my computer, it's fine. You can see my Instagram, and if you like what you see there, you can find my stuff for sale on my Etsy. I generally stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Thanks for the follow, the Modest Goddess. That's fun to say. But yeah, we're usually pretty chill stream. Have a bit of fun. Thank you very much. There are occasional doggos on the stream as well. They're sleeping back behind me. Here, we'll get a peek. Hannah's over. Best way to... Hannah. There she is. Hannah's in a ball. Fisher has his head smashed up against the side of the bed. Not that you can really see it. But we are trimming bowls today that I threw on Tuesday. Slowly, because I get distracted. But welcome on in, everybody. Go take care of yourself, Rhino. Thanks for the raid. I shall take care of your flock. To the best of my abilities, anyway. Good enough. Seal it all back up. If anybody has questions, I am happy to answer and nerd out about clay. Otherwise, and other things, I guess. Yeah, it's one of those things that it is mesmerizing to watch. It's not quite as mesmerizing to do as to watch, for sure. Not that it's not calming, but I feel like for me, at least, I'm paying attention to too many things all at once, you know? But certainly watching, it's repetitive and kind of nice. What is on? Is it just clay? Yeah, it's just clay. Other things. Do we have any other crafting projects you do beside this one? I am just starting to get back into a little bit of 2D art. And by just starting, I mean like within the past 2 weeks. Mr. Salt, who's my husband, for his birthday, that is on the 14th, got himself an iPad, so I'm learning a little bit of Procreate, doing a little bit of fun messing around with that. And got myself a super awesome sketchbook from Anthony Wheeler, who, if you don't watch his stream, you definitely should. It is funny and chaotic. And he is an incredibly talented cartoonist here on Twitch. But I grabbed, the last time I was up at my mom's house, I have a lot of art supplies from like high school. A lot of like oil pastels and chalk pastels that I grabbed and brought back home. So I watch a lot of very creative people on here who are very inspiring, and figured I'd dip my toes back in the 2D, the two-dimensional realm. As far as other hobbies go, I do quite a bit of romance reading. And warped that bowl a little bit. And the occasional video game here and there. Oh, thanks for shouting out, Anthony. Yes. I read almost solely romance. I mean, even Mr. Salt has very different reading tastes than I do. Mr. Salt is namely a sci-fi reader. I read sci-fi, but it's of the romance bent, so. The one thing I like about romance is that you get all of the genres, right? Because it's such a big genre, you get all of the subgenres as well. So you can read sci-fi, but make it romance. Contagious, why things catch on. Oh, are you a nonfiction reader? No, it's fine. Happy for you. Nerd books. No, I am not a nonfiction reader. I mean, to be fair, like I read a lot. Not so much in the past, as much in the past couple of weeks, but typically, like it's not uncommon for me to get up over 100 books in a year. So I read quite a bit. Yes. Though I will say a lot of my time recently in the past few weeks has been taken up by watching people on Twitch and interacting with people that I like to watch as well. So that is definitely cut down a little bit on reading. The things they carried. That sounds familiar. Historical fiction. Things they carried. Who's that by? Is that the one? I may have just listened to an interview on NPR, maybe by the same guy that wrote that. He wrote Timothy O'Brien. He wrote another book about, I think. Wrong, Timothy O'Brien. I listened to an interview about him, I think. No. Maybe it wasn't him. No. Never mind. Never mind at all. Ah, sorry. Welcome in, Arnold. Thanks. Eric Larson. Yeah, I don't know any of these people. And further, to give you some perspective, my favorite author of the past few years, and my favorite series of the past 2 years, I'd say, is a gay alien romance. Well, not alien, more monster than alien, really. They're monsters. Romance series. It's also post-apocalyptic, which is cool. So vastly different. They're by Lily Mayne. She's a fantastic author. And they are not for the faint of heart. In the spice category. So, you know, as one does. Oh yeah, I read a decent amount of monster romance. Where's the... But kind of run the gamut on everything from contemporary romance to a little bit of historical. Historical is probably the genre I read the least of in terms of romance. Sci-fi, fantasy, paranormal, all kinds of stuff. And then like all of the further classifications of those, right? So all of your different relationship pairings as well. Whether that's poly, gay, straight, whatever. It says kicked off center. Go to work. Yeah, the series that I have really enjoyed the past few years is, like I said, it's post-apocalyptic, so the apocalypse, quote unquote, happens when the monsters come through a veil that opens up in the middle of the United States, and it makes everybody, basically everybody heads to the coasts, and so the government has basically turned the cities. Ollie! Hello! Welcome in, Ollie. If anybody's interested in very high production value, adorable gaming streams that happen at night when normal people go to sleep, Mr. Ollie Robs has a lovely stream. How did Mario Party go last night, Ollie? Hoot and a half? Good. But yes, the series that I have really enjoyed by Lily Mayne, for what it's worth, it's called the Monstrous series by her, but monsters arrive, everybody flees and moves to the the major cities that are along the coast. Of course, the government is doing all sorts of fucked up shit, as governments do. But they are mainly mostly gay romances about male protagonist and monster. Insert monster here. And Ollie, you're just in time for me to talk about monster romance, so. But yeah. Do recommend. They do get a little dark in a couple places. There's some torture, mostly by the government, thrown in there. But I don't know, she's written 7 of those books, and I've read all of them at this point, so. It's kind of a chunky foot. I kind of want to thin it out a little bit. We're gonna push it from this side rather than the other side, because I don't want to narrow the foot down too much because it makes it unstable, right? So keeping it nice and wide is good as far as stability goes. But we don't need the foot itself to be quite so wide. Vocal for I. Oh, it did get hot in here all of a sudden. I didn't even turn my air on because it was cool enough. I don't know that I really need it, but... So now we've got a plenty wide foot, but it's a little less chunky. Now I just gotta re-level things back out here. I got really lucky there because I didn't close my eyes. I've done that more than once and gotten clay right back in my eyeballs, which is less than ideal. So this part we're basically just smoothing out everything we just cut open. So when we trim, this is essentially just a blade, right? It is a slightly sharpened, not very sharp, but slightly sharpened tool that cuts away clay. And so that cut surface leaves kind of a different texture, exposed grit, essentially. It's just a different texture than the thrown texture on the inside of the pot. And I prefer them to look the same. You don't have to do that by any means. There are plenty of people that like the texture of the kind of cut open pores, as it were, of the clay, or use it more strategically. But there are definitely, like, you can kind of see where that line is, and it actually will hold the glaze differently, a little bit differently after it's bisque fired. So to me, it's important that I go back and kind of close that back up after I've taken clay off. You can even see a bit the delineation right between where I've run the rib around now and where I hadn't, here and here. Now, there's a little bump that happened there, so we're just gonna fix that. And actually write our initials on it, because I didn't. Throw the trimmings on the floor. So all my pots get my initials and then the year that I did them. I've been considering, and I know I've said this before, and if you've been here, you've already heard it. I've been considering for a while now, though, getting a Maker's Mark stamp rather than just writing my initials. It's a little bit more professional, but also my initials are pretty common. MW is a pretty common set of initials. Whoa. These are much drier. Okay, good to know. We'll see about trimming them. These guys are almost bone dry. So these didn't get covered as well. That's on me. But you can see the color difference, right? Maybe? Your mom's initials, yeah. MW is a common set of initials, and so as a signature on the bottom, it isn't particularly indicative of who it was. So having a Maker's Mark made that is, it can still incorporate the MW, but it needs something else. No, I almost dropped the bowl, which was the horse sounds. You can see that this is much harder. And I generally don't like trimming at this stage because it's harder to smooth out and it makes more dust. But you can see my trimmings are much smaller. And we'll see if we can get through this here. Sometimes if you soak it in a little bit of water, it'll help it out a bit. But really fine porcelain, for example, it's not uncommon to be trimmed at this stage, despite the amount of dust it makes. You typically trim it with sharper tools, because at this stage you can get things much thinner because it is drier if you have really sharp tools. We'll make it work, I think. In the meantime, though, before we go much farther, I'm going to spray down these other ones so they have some time to absorb some water here. You don't want to put too much water on them, of course, because when they get really dry, that water eats away at them, which is fun. So it's a nice little balancing act. So let those guys absorb some of that water. So like, if I were somebody different than myself, a lot of potters have what's called a damp box or a wet box, which is essentially like a tote with plaster poured in the bottom of it. And so you can pour water onto that plaster, and that plaster will hold that water and provide a really moist environment. It'll keep the humidity really high inside the tote. So I could, if I had one, put these bone dry hard pots. MWMudw does not like damp box. It seems to think damp box is a sexual term, which is questionable. But because of that really high humidity environment, I could put these in there and let it sit for a day. And because it's really humid, they would absorb the water nice and evenly and get you back to more of a leather hard stage rather than this less than ideal stage we're in right now. Yes. I, for one, Phil, am offended. I don't know if you go actually by Philip or Phil. Do you prefer Phil or Philip? I know one person that is very much... Oh, TJ. You guys caught MWMudw's attention, and now MWMudw's like taking no prisoners. But it was yelling at me in Badly stream about sounds like a lady. So who the hell knows, right? The phrase sounds like a lady was apparently potentially offensive. And then I continued to try and talk about it modding me for sounds like a lady, and it continued to. Continued to be angry about it. Philip. Phil by pretty much everyone. Okay. Cool. If you like Phil, we'll go by Phil. Because I know another person with the name Philip, and he strictly prefers Philip versus Phil. So, but Phil is fine. And I know especially for some people with names that shorten, particularly like through youth and stuff like that, you know, they may get called Bobby throughout their life as a kid, but are like, I'm an adult and want to be called Bob, for example, you know. And I get that. I've never really had a name that's shortened easily, so... Ugh, this makes so much more of a mess as well. Hey, Amberlyn! Yeah, how are you, Amber? You're catching me on a shitty pot. So my dad has always called me Rana, and so my brothers do as well. But Randy never caught for whatever reason. Yeah. We did have family friends who, they're both wild, and goofy, right? And so we all had nicknames, and I was Rainy Who. Which was funny. But like in a joking way, you know. Ugh, this is such a mess. Yes, but I find it very situational. So if your pot isn't very well centered, particularly at the bottom or the top, technically, it's easier just to use clay lugs, in my opinion. Because for me, generally when I'm trimming, I'm centering for the bottom of the pot, right? To trim the base, rather than at the top. So if you have something that's not centered well, which happens, it kind of makes your life, it defeats the purpose. It makes your life more difficult rather than easier. For these little bowls that are all pretty well centered, it's usually okay. A little bit more time saving. So this is the original version. They just came out with the mini, which, thanks Shark Camp, welcome in. Which actually sits down in your splash pan, which I would prefer. You can see my nice little flexible cutting board back here to try and catch some of my trimmings when I'm not streaming, which is hardly ever these days when I'm out here working. I have two that are duct taped together. No, you're fine. That kind of guard a little bit better, but the 1.0 sits higher than the splash pan and ends up everywhere. Thanks for the follow, Chicken Block. Shark Camp, your stuff that Doomfruit was showing last night looked awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I got a cheap pack of 4 for like, I don't know, $5 to $10, and so they slot in, and I literally have 2 of them duct taped together to make the thing. Yeah, really, really stunning work. Shark Camp, do you stream? I don't know if I looked or not. I want to say I looked, but... Or are you just a serial watcher? Man, it's been a minute since I had a piece this dry. Usually I'm better about making sure they're covered, but I was trying not to hit the back side of them, like I was being lazy and didn't pull it off in order to cover it, and was trying to like tuck the plastic back in, and ended up with dry pots because of it. Oh yeah, find time to art. Yeah, that's a lot. You got a lot going on there, Char Camp. I do find watching other people either throw or even, for example, be creative. So all of you 2D friends, like I was saying in Doomfruit's chat last night, I have been experimenting with some digital art. Ugh. But watching other people be creative is incredibly inspiring to me. So I get it. Well, and I think especially with streamers, there's some amount of like, you build the community, right? And so you want to be more a part of that community. You're part of it because you chat and in chat, and everybody gets involved in challenges and stuff like that. And so you kind of want to be more a part of that, which is pretty natural, right? You want to fit in more or whatever. And but also when you see people doing really cool stuff, it's like, oh, I want to do really cool stuff too. Yeah, for sure. I think also a lot of the art prompts or Reference Wednesday or, what have you, are really nice for people, especially like me, who's like, well, I want to art, but I don't know what I want to art. I don't want to, like, I have trouble coming up with an idea or what have you. All right, we're getting there. Yeah, and I also think like it's okay because it's just a stream, right? And it's not like for work or for school projects or whatever. It's kind of nice because like if a prompt doesn't catch your eye, you don't have to participate, right? Or if you get busy and you're not feeling it, you don't have to, and it takes some of that pressure off of the like you must be creative thing. All right, we're gonna, rather than, what a mess. I'm really proud of Mr. Salt. So, oh, we're probably in ad breaks. All right. I'll hold my Rana. Are we in ads? It says we are. I know. Adland, okay. That's what I thought. I'll save my praise for when other people can hear it. No spoilers. I'm not going to spoil. It's true. Welcome back, everybody. What I was saying is that I'm super proud of Mr. Salt because historically he has not arted, you know, and he was looking for a hobby that wasn't just video games, right? We do a lot of video game playing, and that can get kind of boring. All right, cool. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you, Shark Amp. But he was looking for something to do and was getting inspired by watching some of the art streamers that we watch. And was like, I want to try. And the idea he came up with is funny and cute, and he's done a really, really good job. And especially for his very first ever Procreate, he didn't, but he made a cute character. And is considering doing another one as well. We got there in the end, but that was annoying. On this one, because it was too dry. Some of those dried trimmings are now stuck around the outside here. But for somebody who really hasn't flexed their artistic creativity in years, right? Many years. I'm very impressed with what he achieved. And further, that it's something that he's proud of. Guys, my belly's all sweaty. Well, and even more so the fact that it's for something like Babe's Monday Night Draw, where it's going to go in front of, you know, 100 people or whatever. Get out of here, dog hair. I did not check that. Oh, you can. For those of you that are interested at all, so Babe Ross, the lovely, delightful Babe Ross, does a monthly drawing prompt. And this month's is Snack Attack. The theme is Snack Attack. They're usually pun related. And it doesn't have to be a drawing, it doesn't have to be a painting, it can be, as long as it's TOS friendly, any form of creative expression on that fact is acceptable. And it also doesn't have to be a pun. It's basically just something to get your brain thinking in order to make your project, right? So you do that, you post it in her Discord, which is, she's part of the Creative Corner Discord. And at the end of the month, she shares it in a WWE style Punday night draw. And so everybody, you know, gets their piece shared, talked about, you get hyped up. Yeah, last time was a 6-hour stream. They do tend to last a while because she does have quite a few people participate in them. But there are lots of artists that do theme-based prompts. I know that Amy Wise of Amy Wise Art does a monthly muse. Ugh, goodness. I know Anthony Wheeler does something. Themes of your paintings are Dumpster Fire and Babe 2 Pig in the City. Your paintings are fantastic and are super fast. That's a joke to everybody else in the chat. His paintings are not super fast. They are done a la prima, though, and you can watch them in their entirety on stream. Throw a shout out for Badly in the chat. Traditional oil painter. Typically does portraits, but there's some other stuff in there too. You can watch his entire process on stream. They last far too long. But they're generally a good time. I may have been the one that brought Andy Wheeler into your chat a couple nights ago. It was kind of sweet because you had, I don't know, 10 people watching, and Anthony had, 100 some, and he was like, "Are you sure? Like, this isn't gonna freak somebody out?" And I was like, No. You'll be fine. Which I understand asking, right? Like, it would be kind of overwhelming if it was like a small streamer that like didn't know how to handle themselves and you suddenly show up with 100 some people. But I figured you can handle yourself. Yeah. Gun Girl was rated by Phil's at. Jeez, no. That's so many. I think at that point you probably just say like, thanks everybody, I'm not going to be able to read chat at that speed, right? Like at that many people, it's just way too much. It's like, hey, thanks everybody. Introduce yourself and kind of keep going on about what you're doing because there's no way with 10,000 people that A, you're going to be able to read chat, or B, that you're going to be able to keep up with any of what's going on. So you're just like, thanks, this is what I do. Bye. This is garbage. I hate trimming like this. Part of me wants to just toss these, but they're still trimmable. If they were completely leather hard or completely bone dry, I'd probably just chuck them. Well, yeah, because at 10,000 people, chat is going to be moving so fast that there's no way to keep up with that. There's just not. So you catch what goes by and answer what you can. Are we up on a... Sometimes if you put it down wrong, you can be up on one of the bat pins, and she is too nice. Love her to death. But I would be like, well, I'm way too behind on chat. We're just starting fresh. I do think she has been using her slow mode more appropriately of recent, which does help a little bit. Ugh. That just sent stuff everywhere. Yeah, I get it. She actually ordered a mug recently. I sent it off to her yesterday. Shipping is so exorbitant. Like, I was like, oh, she paid too much for shipping. Like, I have it set high. And I was like, oh, I'll probably have to refund her some for shipping. Nope. It was actually $1 more than I charged her for. Which, to go all the way to the other side of the country, is almost $20. It's unfortunately, the cost of shipping ceramics though, because you need the extra cushion around. So like I can't ship a mug in a 6-inch like pack and ship box. So I generally ship in a 10 by 10 by 10 box. And that means that shipping is much higher. Yeah. So I usually ship priority. And to ship to California was $18 and change for a single box that was just over 2 pounds. UH charges base some, for the most part, it's size and weight, but also like if you can use the post office's boxes, you can get away with cheaper shipping, but with ceramics, it's a lot harder to do that. Just because you need the extra padding all the way around. I'm just getting rid of some of those lines there. Yeah. It's not uncommon for, so my animal pots I typically ship in the largest box that I use is a 17 by 10 by 10 box, which isn't gigantic or anything, but it's not uncommon for those to go over $20 to $25 for shipping, and that's in the country. I've had people ask about shipping internationally, and I'm like, I'm happy to, but be aware that shipping internationally is easily going to run you $50 or more. Like easily. I think the last time I looked, shipping priority internationally is closer to 60, but yeah, 82. Yep. Did you send her paint? I figured you might. That's sweet of you. Very nice. Yeah, international shipping is pretty bananas. Shit. Spoiled by strangers on the internet. Oh, cool. Oh, that's nice. I liked the look of it. I was just never patient enough to follow follow directions, which tracks. Good enough. I'm getting very disenfranchised with these bowls that are too dry. They're annoying. See, 'cause that looks like garbage. There's just a lot of what in wood terms I guess would be called tear out, kind of, that needs smoothing. Which is hard to do when the clay is so dry. Good enough. This one's a little bit better, at least. I think. We'll see once we get into it. This one is a little bit better. Yeah. Much better than the last two have been. Still a little bit drier than I would really like, but workable. have to stabilize the drier ones a little bit more because they require a little bit more force to cut through, and so to trim. So it's not uncommon for them to try and want to move in the gif and grip. So involves a little bit more in the way of slightly strange hand positions, but whatever. Like that. Stretch the upper back again. Hey Cosma! Things are going well. Hope work's going well.